I'm just here to welcome everyone back as we start to come back in from the exhibit hall floor. Hopefully you were able to connect with some of our great exhibitors. No worries if you didn't get everywhere you wanted to go. You're going to have 2 more opportunities to do that. And we're going to give you a little run through at the end just to show you how you can connect. But right now I am pleased to introduce Captain Todd. He's going to come to you with a great story of where the maritime careers has taken him. He's a master of a military Sealift command and has 15 years of deep sea experience. So thank you so much, Captain Todd, and I'm going to turn things over to you. So take it away. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tammy. Good afternoon, everyone. Tammy, you can hear me all right? Okay. Thanks, everyone, for taking the time to be here today as part of this great event. I want to thank the Eastport Yacht Club Foundation, the Anne Arundel Public Schools, and the Marine Trades Association of Maryland for setting this up. Today, I want to discuss with everyone my career as a U.S. Merchant Marine officer, sailing on some of the largest and fastest ships in the world to countless countries and nearly every continent. I want to share with you how I went from being exactly where you are today as high school students and to where I am now with a U.S. Coast Guard license of unlimited tonnage and sailing as a ship's captain. So I actually grew up on the east end of Long Island in Center Merchants, New York, a couple hours north of us here today. At 8 years old, my dad and I restored my first boat, a 16-foot dory, which I spent my entire childhood on, fishing the bay, going to the beach to surf, duck hunting all winter. If I wasn't out on the dory, I was on the bay sailing, and I became a competitive sailboat racer. I raced all across the Northeast in the Sunfish class, the Laser class, 420s, 470s, and all of this brought me to search out and discover the Maritime Academies. I was in search of a college where I could continue racing sailboats collegiately, and I found the Maritime Academies, and they all have competitive racing teams. But I then discovered, and more importantly, during 4 years while at college, you can actually spend an entire year on a ship or several ships at sea sailing the world in order to earn your college credit and a Coast Guard license. For me, I was hooked, and I have been ever since. There are 6 state maritime academies in the United States: California Maritime Academy, Great Lakes Maritime Academy in Michigan, Massachusetts Maritime Academy, Maine Maritime Academy, New York Maritime Academy, and Texas A&M Maritime Academy at Galveston. A lot of academies, but I wanted to spell them out for you so you know that there's 6 of them all around the state or all around the country. There's also one other, United States Merchant Marine Academy, located in Kings Point, New York. This is one of the 5 federal service academies. You are probably all more familiar with the Naval Academy here in Annapolis, but Kings Point is also a federal academy. And instead of joining the Navy out of Annapolis or the Army out of West Point, you'll join the Merchant Marine out of Kings Point. So I applied for 3 maritime academies, as well the United States Merchant Marine Academy, which I inevitably chose to attend. Well, during my time at Kings Point, I raced all 4 years on the digging team. I raced in 2 college nationals, one in Hood River, Oregon, where was my first trip out to the West Coast. But academically, I studied terrestrial and celestial navigation, meteorology, ship's business, cargo handling and stability, marine communications. Also studied naval science and history. And that's just a typical course load at the Merchant Marine Academy or any one of the academies. But after an entire year at school, our plebe year, I was sent out on my first merchant ship as a cadet, the steamship Cleveland. I sailed aboard the 600-foot cargo ship from Houston to West Africa for 4 months. That was my first time overseas and my first time to Africa, and it was amazing. After that, I returned back to school for a semester, and then again back to sea for 8 months as a cadet on 2 more ships. I first joined an oil tanker out of New York Harbor, the motor vessel Jacksonville. I believe online with us today is Captain Shorts. He was actually the captain when I was on board, and it's great to see you here today, Captain, and thanks for everything you've done for me. That ship sailed us up and down the east and west coast of the U.S., and we went through the Panama Canal. I then jumped on board a container ship, which is 900 feet long, and we sailed from Los Angeles to across the Pacific to China, Korea, Japan, and Taiwan. All of that sea time gave me a year of sea time, which is required to sit for your U.S. Coast Guard license. That's part of the curriculum at any maritime academy or the Merchant Marine Academy. All the state maritime academies have training ships where you would go out to sea with your classmates. Merchant Marine Academy sends you out to sea on commercial ships. A little bit of a difference, but at the end of the day, you get that year of sea experience. So I returned to school for my senior year, and I graduated in 2006 with a bachelor's degree in marine transportation, a U.S. Coast Guard license, unlimited, as a third mate, and I also graduated with a commission as an officer in the U.S. Navy. I still am in the U.S. Navy Reserve, and I've earned the rank of Lieutenant Commander in the Strategic Sealift Officer Force. So, sounds like a lot, and it really is. You graduate with a 4-year bachelor's degree, a Coast Guard license, and in some cases, depending on where you go to school and what program you enter, you'll earn a commission in the U.S. Navy Reserve. So, after graduation, with an unlimited third mate's license, at that time, it was very easy to get a job in the U.S. Merchant Marine upon graduation. And I would argue it's very easy to get a job if you go to a Merchant Marine Academy because it's a very sought after career path and there's lots of opportunity. I took my first job with British Gas LNG Services in Houston, Texas. I sailed as a ship's navigation officer on their state-of-the-art liquefied natural gas tankers. These are 930 feet long, 95,000-ton ships, and they carry natural gas in a liquid state all around the world. I sailed around the world countless times. I sailed through the Suez Canal, which is in the news today. There's a ship that ran aground there. Been through that canal many times. I went through the English Channel, the Strait of Gibraltar, the Horn of Africa, across the Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean, through the Singapore Strait, the Strait of Magellan, ports in Egypt, Greece, Trinidad, and many more. During these years, I studied to upgrade my license and take the Advanced Coast Guard exam, which is for Unlimited Master Mariner. I passed that exam, and then I started working for another company, which I now still am working for, which is the U.S. Navy's Military Sealift Command in Norfolk, Virginia. I work for MSC as a civilian mariner. So we are the civilian workforce that supports the Navy active duty fleet overseas and around the world. Military Sealift Command transports all the goods and services to the Navy so that the Navy can stay deployed overseas on mission and uninterrupted while fueled, fed, and topped off with ammo. Very exciting job. MSC actually conducts all of its transfers underway at sea, connected to other ships, other Navy ships, no more than 200 feet apart at 13 knots, connected by wires where we transfer cargo from each ship. We also use helicopters to assist movement of cargo. It's absolutely a fascinating process, and it's a great job. I've been sailing with them for 10 years. I started off as a navigation officer. I moved up to cargo mate, then to chief mate, and then finally I was promoted to captain 3 years ago. I currently sail as a ship's captain aboard the Navy's Military Sealift Command's fleet of expeditionary fast transports. These are the newest class of ship that they operate. They're 300 feet long aluminum catamarans that can go up to 45 knots. They carry 300 troops, and they carry 600 tons of cargo. These ships can go over about 1,000 miles at top speed, and they can do it in less than 20 feet of water. I've been the captain of 4 of these ships now, and I've supported naval exercises in the Pacific in countries such as the Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Guam, in the Atlantic in countries like Spain, Ecuador, Nigeria, and Ghana. I supported the Navy and Marines in the Persian Gulf fighting terror, and have returned to West Africa where I first went as a cadet. I returned to West Africa to patrol those oceans for illegal fishing and even pirates, which we did catch pirates off of the coast of Nigeria. And I did this all as a civilian mariner. By far, though, the most favorite experience I've had Second to my trip through the Panama Canal with Captain Schwartz was a trip to the South Pacific from San Diego to Hawaii, then to Kwajalein, Guam, Ponape, Chuuk, Saipan, and Palau. I visited many of the World War II battle sites, which I just love, but I was able to scuba dive on each island. Palau was by far one of the best places in the world to dive, and I'll never forget it. Scuba diving, by the way, happens to be my favorite hobby when I can get off the ship, whatever country we're in, and I always bring my gear. So I have met amazing people, I've made lifelong friendships, and I've seen the world, but this was all possible by my decision to go to a maritime academy and pursue this career at sea. Today, I live in Annapolis, Maryland, with my wife, Karen, who's a Coast Guard officer, and my 2 kids. So if you are interested in becoming a U.S. Merchant Marine, sailing the world as a ship's officer, and getting an unlimited tonnage U.S. Coast Guard license, the best route, as I described earlier, is to attend a maritime academy. I believe there are 3 maritime academies in attendance today out in the exhibition halls to answer your questions. But you can look up each one of these academies online and decide which one is the best fit for you. You apply just as you would any other college. The U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, though, because it's a federal service academy, does require a congressional nomination. So you must start that process at the beginning of your 11th grade. You want to start the process early, even earlier, maybe 10th grade, because you got to start taking those SAT tests. But regardless, any school that you're going to look to go to, you want to call the admissions office at the academy you're interested in and find out what you need to do. I would also caveat that with you want to reach out to whatever sport you're involved in. For me, it was sailing. You might be a baseball player or a soccer player. Reach out to the coaches at those schools and let them know you're interested in attending. The maritime academies need athletes as much as they need students. So if you're a student athlete, let the coach know you want to attend a maritime academy, and they're going to help you through the process. So the reason you go to the maritime academy, though, is because there are many jobs and many career paths for you in the maritime industry that you will be able to pursue upon graduation from any maritime academy. The choice and your career path is always yours. No matter what maritime academy you attend, though, you will have to make the most important decision right out the gate. And this is when you start school as a freshman, or we call them a plebe, or a midshipman under guidance. You will have to choose whether you're not going to become a deck officer or a marine engineer. So a decky are the ones who drive the ship, like myself, navigate and run ship's operation and cargo. The engineers run and fix the ship's power plant and all auxiliary equipment. So you got to choose. Do you want to be an engineer, or you want to be a decky up on the bridge with us? Both have their pros and cons, but you can't go wrong. Choosing one or the other will then determine what you study for the next 4 years and the Coast Guard license that you're going to receive upon graduation if you pass the test. So that Coast Guard license exam is the greatest hurdle standing between you and graduation. It is a requirement to graduate, but something you prepare for during your 4 years at school. You study for it while you're on those ships. The reason you go to sea for a year while you're at the academy is because the Coast Guard requires 360 days of sea time for you to sit for that exam. So the school will make sure you get that sea time. They'll train you. The officers out at sea will teach you what you need to know, and all your classmates will help you study for the exam. Now, there are ways to get a Coast Guard license without attending the Maritime Academy, and there are some of the, and you can learn about that today at the exhibition, out in the exhibition hall. But I would argue it's much harder to do it on your own, and especially if you're looking to get an unlimited tonnage license. An unlimited tonnage license is a license that would allow you to sail on any ship of any size. Going to a Maritime Academy is going to be the easiest way to do it, although it's not an easy process, no matter how you go about it. So with this license, you will be able to leave school as a graduate and take a job the very next day, standing the watch aboard any ship of any size in the world, whatever company will hire you, or keep the watch as an officer in charge of the entire engine room. There are very few colleges that prepare you so well and so specifically for such great responsibility. This career has been an amazing one, and I have no regrets. My advice to you all is to pursue this career if you have a love for the sea. I do. I imagine many of you out here today do, because you're in this area like Annapolis, and we have the Chesapeake Bay, and you probably grew up on the bay just like I did. This is the career for you, but you got to have that love and the passion for the sea. I would also remind you, though, to never forget where you come from if you embark on this career, because it will take you around the world. And don't forget the family that supports you. For all the parents that are with us today, I appreciate that, and I know that it's very important for you to be here as well with your high school students. So to those high school students, your parents are your biggest fans. They will help you get to where you want to go. So study hard, work hard, and never quit. That's all the prepared remarks I had for you today. And with that, I look forward to all your questions. We'll open it up now. I think Tammy's going to assist me with some of the questions that maybe you have asked already, or if you'd like to ask questions. But otherwise, I wish you all the best of luck. And it's a great career. It's a great industry, and it's a very small industry. So I'm sure I'll meet a lot of you out there at sea once you get there. So I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you so much, Captain Todd. Wow, what a career, what an experience that you've had along the way. And I'm sure we may have some questions. As I was looking at the chat, it looks like you answered most of them. Here's my favorite comment: Todd is amazing. He makes everyone else in the world look boring. So thank you so much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the kids out to the exhibit hall now, but if anyone had a question that they wanted to talk to Captain Todd about, you're certainly welcome to stay for a couple of minutes to do that. Students, in order to be able to go on that exhibit floor, don't forget, go back to the home screen in the Google site and then click on Exhibit Hall. Then you can click on any one of those exhibitors and be able to join their live session. They're there waiting for you. As Captain Todd said, we have some maritime schools here anxious to hear from you and tell you about themselves. So thank you again. And if you have some questions, you can hang out here for a couple of minutes with Captain Todd. Otherwise, go check out all the other cool things that we have for you. And we will see you back here for our next speaker at 1:45. So thank you so much, Captain Todd. This was awesome.
Great. Thanks, Tammy. I'll stick around for a minute or two till we get kicked out and answer questions, and then I'll head over to the exhibit floor. It looks like I have one question from Shad. The engineer path does require a lot more math than a decky path, and that's why I went decky. But it's still, both deck and engine are very math-centric. Hope that helps. I got another question. How would you become a tugboat captain? Well, you can become a tugboat captain even if you go to a Maritime Academy. I know Maine Maritime Academy is a great program for tugboats, but you could also just go right down to the port of Baltimore or Norfolk or wherever, get on a tugboat and start working as a deckhand and work your way right up. Tugboats are not unlimited licenses, but but you can study for that exam as you get your sea time on a tugboat and do it that way. So there's two paths that are fairly quite simple to become a tugboat captain. Any other questions there in the chat? We talk about average salary. It's hard to say, but you'll make good money. Just keep in mind you're away from home for quite a bit, which is one of the reasons you make great money going to sea. But that said, you also make a lot of money for about 6 to 8 months of work at a time. So it might look like a lot of money, but you got to budget over 12 months of time. But you really are out there searching for the job that is the best work-life balance. It all depends, but the money's there. You just got to search for a job that you really want to be, you want to do, and a company that you want to work for.
So, Captain Todd, do you have any advice for those who are interested in the science field and kind of going that path?
Yeah, absolutely. Science. So most of the Merchant Marine Academies have a regimented program, which is deck and engine, but some of the Maritime Academies have an unlicensed program where you can study environmental science. That's something to look into if you're not interested in getting a license. I think they also offer classes, career paths such as maritime business, where you study all the business, but you don't have to sit for the Coast Guard exam. But the schools, all the schools are actually very small, average class sizes of about 200 to 300 at the most graduating. So there are not many majors offered, and that they're very specific majors. But there are science-specific majors, like in the environmental fields.
So we have a couple of have asked what your favorite port of call was in all of your journeys.
Sure. I would have to say I can't say one port. I can't narrow it down to one port in particular, but I've absolutely loved visiting Singapore. I've been there many, many times. I almost feel like it's a second home. Singapore is one of my favorites. Palau, the island of Palau was absolutely at the top of my list for favorite places I've ever been. There's an island called Ponape, which is right nearby, which is also second to Palau. I've loved Guam. And I'd also say pulling into the port of Gibraltar and going up Gibraltar, the Rock of Gibraltar, was a lot of fun. But there's probably too many to recall. So I can't say there's one port in particular I love, but I probably have to vote Singapore.
Awesome.
You're welcome there, John DeBoer.
Thank you so much, Captain Todd, for hanging out and asking questions. And so we're gonna push those kids out into the exhibit hall floor now. And you know, if I have some other questions, I can reach back out to you if that's okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, Tammy, for having us. And thank you, everybody who attended today. And I'll jump out to the exhibition hall and see if I can figure out how to answer questions out there.
Awesome. All right. Take care. Thanks again.